Star Power, Chapter 10. Ridiculous. Freaking ridiculous. Charlie muttered in disbelief. Of all things that could have possibly happened while trying to complete the Save Nia mission, she never would have guessed that Jill would have been one. She looked out the back seat window at Rory, who just stood there looking stupid and shrugging, and instantly wanted to kill her. Being locked up may have not moved Rory because obviously she'd been behind bars before, but for Charlie it spelled doom and demence. She wasn't a criminal, had never been, but now she was sitting in the back of a police car like one, while Rory waved from the side of the road. If Charlie could have flipped her the bird, she would have, but even that wasn't possible with her hands cuffed behind her back and being locked inside. A lot of things were beyond her reach, namely getting to Nia. I'ma come get you, sis. You're good. Charlie girl. Rory was yelling at the back window as the police cruiser pulled off. Charlie shook her head. How was Rory going to help her when she wasn't even powerful enough to help herself? She couldn't even get out of East Jesus, as she referred to her town. The cop looked at her in his rear view mirror and nodded a little. I wouldn't have cuffed you if it were up to me, but we don't know you around here. You could be anybody. Charlie just shot daggers at him. They'd gone over whom she was, why she was there, and even Rory had admitted that she asked Charlie to drive. But Officer Unfriendly didn't care for several reasons. Charlie didn't have a license. The owner of the car whom they called met them roadside and said he didn't know her. Here's the clarification was the determining factor. It didn't matter that Rory had never received permission to drive the car, or that it was her idea to steal it, or that she hadn't informed Charlie of the theft, but instead made it seem as if it were fine with them to drive. The only thing that counted was that Charlie was behind the wheel. She tried her best to convince them about the real truth, but no one took her seriously. When she mentioned that she was a reality television star who was there to help the mayor, they laughed in her face and questioned how a teenage girl, especially one who was hanging with Rory, could possibly help the mayor. The officer spread his lips, then shook his head at her while he smiled. You know you can do so much more with your life, Charlie, right? You have school, college if you're lucky, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get a good job. Don't throw your life away. It's not worth it. He stared at her hard. And whatever you do, watch the company you keep. He turned his attention back to the road while radioing and Charlie's impending arrival to someone at the jailhouse on the other end of the dial. He made a left and Charlie exhaled. Her feet were hurting, her wrists were burning, and her attitude was on fire. She was pissed beyond passivity, and someone was going to pay for it. That someone was Rory. So you're still not going to talk to me? The officer asked. Charlie rolled her eyes. She said all she was going to say, which according to the code she'd been taught by the streets, was too much. Yes, she'd given him some information, but when he pulled out his little notepad and pen, she sealed her lips. When he finished writing, then asked her to sign, she refused. That was one autograph that wasn't going to be handed out. There was no way she would ever sign a contract saying she'd stolen a car when she hadn't, at least not to her knowledge or on purpose. An officer unfriendly questioned if she understood him. Her teaching from Dr. Devereaux L kicked in, and she told him no. That informed him that she stood over him. Her lips spread into a slight smile. She was happy that Mr. Devereaux L. had made her research words in the fourth volume of Black Law's dictionary, and now she knew that understood to the law was akin to a contractual obligation to agree to something. Charlie nodded. She wasn't bowing down or signing anything. She wasn't being difficult either. She was just preserving, not reserving her rights. That's why she had nothing to say to the officer. Her words wouldn't count anyway. The judge's voice is what mattered. She just let the universe take care of it. She knew who she was, and that's all that counted. She wasn't a thief, she was a giver. She reminded herself, then closed her eyes. She saw no sense in witnessing herself going to jail. She felt the car turn left, zip down the streets, then hang a right. When it slowed and then stopped, she clenched her teeth. It was time to face a new reality, which meant opening her eyes. As much as she wanted to hide behind her lids, she knew doing so wouldn't erase what was going on. With much effort, she opened them, then stared at the officer through the rearview mirror. So, you think you can take these cuffs off me now? Or are you afraid I'll overpower you and run? She asked, her tone sarcastic and daring. He stared at her while grabbing his clipboard from the passenger seat. You don't have much respect for authority, Charlie, do you? With her hands behind her back, she leaned forward. What's your name? Officer Michaels, he answered, pointing to his badge. Do you want my badge number two? Charlie sat back, shaking her head. No, what I want is for you to stop calling me Charlie. You want me to call you Officer Michaels and think it's okay for you to call me by my first name? Nah, I don't think so. Only I can determine who and what has authority over me. And in my book, we're equals. As it is above, so it is below, she said. Officer Michaels gave her a quizzical look. What does that mean? She shook her head. Do your homework, then you'll see why I stand over you and you'll understand me. For now, let's just say that your job can't put you above me. Just as you being an adult doesn't make me less than you because I'm a teenager, she informed him. So, can we respect each other now? Or do you plan on continuing to treat me like a criminal before you really know if I am one? He shook his head as if disgusted with her, then got out of the car and slammed the door. He walked toward the back of the vehicle, then made his way behind it. Charlie gritted her teeth. It was time to face the drama, and she was ready to get it over with. She sat there for seconds waiting for Officer Unfriendly to release her from the confines of the squad car, but he didn't. In fact, he disappeared from view. She discovered as she looked through the front and side windows. She'd just been looking at him, then suddenly it was as if he'd vanished. She blinked twice, hoping her sight was deceiving her, but he was still nowhere to be seen. She tilted her head. How could he have gone missing so quickly? She wondered, closing her eyes, then resting her head on the seat. There was no use in worrying, she told herself. There was no use in rushing. She had nowhere to go but to jail. Her door opened, jarring her. Come on, and please watch your head while getting out. I don't want you to get hurt, the officer said. His voice held a different tone. He wasn't outwardly apologetic, but he wasn't as rigid and accusing as before. Charlie lowered her head while getting out of the vehicle. She stiffened when he grabbed her arm, helping her to her feet. Thank you, I guess. Her words were uncertain. She didn't know if she should be thankful for him, not wanting her to get hurt, or be upset that she wasn't handcuffed and on her way to get booked. So, you are Charlie St. James, huh? Born in Illinois, resident of New York actress? He said, his words telling her he checked her out. Charlie looked at him, and a funny sort of glee replaced her anger. She was having an I told you so moment, and it felt good. Yes, I am Charlie St. James, and you are sorry, huh? Officer Michaels shook his head, then pulled slightly on her arm to guide her into the person. Are you New Yorkers as difficult As you, I heard it's true. Now I'm wondering. Charlie laughed. Despite the handcuffs she wore, she still felt good about herself. New York is difficult? She shook her head. Nah, it's not city people who are difficult. It's usually the truth that's difficult. I told you the truth. My honesty was easy and you made the truth difficult. She walked up the two steps that led into the percent. Let's get this over with. I have a show to do and you're holding up our progress. Finally, he smiled, holding open the door for her. So I've heard. I guess you really do know the mayor. More importantly, he knows you, and we're going to let you walk. There was no harm done to the car, and no one wants to press charges on someone who came here to do good for the community. He led her into a back room. But I still have to hold you, though, until someone comes to claim you. Charlie's eyes lit. She was out of trouble. Now she could flip back into her role. She had to save Nia from dreariness and keep the show interesting. She figured she might as well use jail for more than it was unusually worth. Cool, but I need a favor. Can we tape it? You know, like the whole thing? Maybe we can do a do over and you can put me back into the car, ride for a couple of blocks, walk me in, etc., etc. It'll be good for ratings, and if I can take a few cute mug shots, that'll be great too. Liam was smiling and leaning against a mailbox when she came out. Her lips spread further than his as she skipped down the two steps and made her way over to him. Only you, Charlie. Only you. How you end up in jail. He shook his head. Never mind. Dumb question, he said, then nodded slightly to where the cameraman and boom man were standing and filming. Her smile spread wider. The officer wouldn't agree to Charlie's request for a go to jail do over, but he let her call the crew and they come to her rescue. She may not have gotten it all captured for the show, but she'd take what she could get. Liam, please. You already know, but what you don't know is that when I catch Rory, we're going to get it in. I'm talking a real fight. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off because I don't want to get sued. She said, getting ready to cross the street. She stepped off the curb. Liam pulled her back. You trying to get run over, love? He looked at her and winked. We've got to get over to Nia's, who's finally showed up. By the way, and I can't let anything happen to you beforehand, he said, then whispered. And after last night, I feel you're my responsibility. Charlie punched him, then caught herself. Liam, don't even play like that. That's not cool. You know, if someone heard you, that blow like gasoline and lit matches. Her words were low and fiery, and also said between clenched teeth. He held his chest where her fist had just connected. Ouch. I'm not playing, she cut him a look. And I don't mean it like that, Charlie. I just feel I need to protect you because someone knows where you're staying and how to get to you. His tone was different, serious. She nodded. He had a point, and she was grateful that he had her back. Thanks, she said to Liam. Charlie, someone called, making her and Liam clenched. They had too much to accomplish and too short of a time to do it in, and now there just wasn't time to deal with the townspeople. Liam grabbed her hand and pulled her. Come on. Hi. Charlie yelled to whomever, then turned to Liam. Where are we going? You'll see, he said, still pulling her along as a cameraman and boom man followed. Hand in hand, they jogged to a parking lot by the percent. Over here, he directed, crossing over the blacktop toward a convertible Mustang. Nice. When did you get this? She asked, rounding to the passenger side, then bid the cameraman and boom man goodbye as they signaled they were cutting the taping. We'll meet you guys back at the location, Liam said to them, then turned his attention back to Charlie. I just picked it up not too long ago. I can't stand being shuffled around. We need to enjoy ourselves and staying off of the studio's grid. Their schedule for us is priority. He opened her door. She pressed her lips together, then crinkled her eyebrows. She looked at him when he got in. But how? You're not old enough to rent a car. Don't you have to be like 20 something to do that? Charlie strapped in. Liam got in, put on his seatbelt, then started the car. He pressed the button and a convertible yawned open. Nice, he exclaimed, breathing in the fresh air. He revved the engine and shrugged. Star power, love. Just using my star power. Sometimes we have to use what we got. I signed a few autographs and did some flirting, and just like that, he snapped his fingers. They let me rent it. I have a credit card and I'm licensed. So, it's not a big deal, really, he said, then pulled off. Like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Bye.